such a time as this.
And welcome back to For Such a Time as This, the place where there is no such thing. There is no such thing as a silent witness. Want to set the scene with this video. Proverbs 18:2, a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. Also, the fool believes every word they hear, but wise people think carefully about everything. I think there are many fools on television. I believe that accurately describes many people in Hollywood, in D.C. and New York who are on news stations. So when talking about foolishness and fools, we turn to The View, where the wonderful women of The View had a wonderful guest, who's some columnist or some journalist who wrote a book talking about our country. Now look, no one says that our country and the history of our country is flawless. It is not. We all know that. There is absolutely no one that I know of who will say that the United States of America is faultless. We've had our issues, slavery and whatnot, issues. But we have to say this. I have to say this. I think the United States of America is the only country that I know of, and I've read a lot of history, in which oppressed people, the slave class, actually rose up to become the head of state. We live in a country where you have more black millionaires than any other country on earth. And somehow, what America has done for African Americans and has done for immigrants, largely go unnoticed and unappreciated. And so people rail against the United States of America, rail against the Constitution, want to change the Constitution. There's a way to change it. Go through Congress, change it. And here's my take on the whole hate America thing. If you don't like America, leave. We're trying to build walls on the southern border to keep people out, not keep people in. You don't like America, you hate the Constitution, leave. Go to a better country. But that's not what the Marxists want. That's not what the globalists want, i.e. we turn to The View, and this scholar rails against our beloved country. And the members of The View there's two clips. Here's the first one.
Some will say, okay, so are you arguing for throwing out the Constitution? Should the Constitution be thrown out? What do we do? Is it a living document? Or is it a sacred document?
It's certainly not sacred, all right? Let's start there. The Constitution is kind of trash. Now, let's just talk as adults for a second.
What did you say? It's what?
It's kind of trash.
Trash.
It was written by slavers and colonists and white people who were willing to make deals with slavers and colonists. They didn't ask anybody who looked like me what they thought about the Constitution. They didn't say, oh, Jim, come over here. What do you think about this old Constitution? Well, massa, I sure don't like how you sell my children. But I gotta say, massa, this King George, he needs to be stopped. My grandpapa used to say, ain't no taxation without representation for massa. Like, that's not what happened.
Okay.
Right?
No, that's not what happened. And the ugly reality of slavery in this country and the history of the United States of America, we can all agree. It's not a good time for America, at least on that issue. But it's a trick of the globalists to take the black eye of slavery and now want to destroy our country. And so here's this gentleman's view because of slavery. Look at the jump now he's willing to take.
The very least we can do is ignore what those slavers and colonists and misogynists thought and interpret the Constitution in a way that makes sense for our modern world. That's
Do you want
the
to rewrite
starting
it?
line.
Do you want to rewrite it?
I could, right? I could rewrite parts of it in a tweet, right? Like, how about popular election for the president? People vote, not land.
That's not even in there, is it?
I'm saying if I was rewriting it, we could do it in a tweet, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Term limits for Supreme Court justices, and how about no states' rights when it comes to health care, elections, policing, and guns?
Right.
It's just better. That's just better, and you can do that in a tweet.
Can't the amendments help some of that?
Well, here's the problem with the amendment process.
Really fast now. I got 20
The
seconds.
problem with the amendment process is that in American history, there have been 115 people allowed to interpret what the amendments mean. 108 of them have been white.
Okay.
That's a problem.
Well, you are certainly a compelling guest, I must say. Isn't it? Fantastic. Ellie Nostell.
I think when she said the amendments, that Congress can amend the Constitution and change. But you see the leftists, they don't know anything about the Constitution. They don't know anything about law. They don't know about how laws are made. He immediately went to the Supreme Court justices. I'm sorry, the Supreme Court justices, they are to interpret the amendment, not make new ones and repeal old ones. But he just wrote a book about the Constitution. He just called the Constitution trash. That's the way the left thinks. But people, it's far from just being the left. It's the Marxist globalists. And the mere fact that The View can get away with a man on their show calling the Constitution trash, the supreme law of the land trash, and they not only not correct them, the audience claps, they egg them on. They hate America. Slowly but surely, well, I don't know how slow it is now, but the left hates America. They hate America. They hate the Constitution. Hate it. And the sad part about it is, we now live in a country where they no longer even need to hide the fact on The View, hide the fact that they hate our country.
For such a time as this,